long enough for them two to
Yeah,
talk.
let me just get it.
You want to stand over here?
Hey, Rich.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good, good. We're still a few minutes away from starting the program, so just be patient. I'll come and introduce you after we get the.
Good. Yeah, I've been having trouble with Zoom, so I'm glad that everything's working.
All right,
Now I can relax.
great. We'll be back in a few minutes then.
Okay, no hurry.
All right, Rich, Adam here. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, you should be the co-host, so you can try to share your screen. Um, Everything should be okay. Nobody else is on the call yet. Just wanted to make sure that the basic functions work. It should be okay.
Oops. Let's see. It's not that one. Screen one. There we go.
Okay, awesome. Yep,
Good.
looks good to me.
Okay.
All right, ready to rock and roll. So I'll let the folks know, and we'll see a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
Get everybody to take their seat, please. Yeah. Started. All right, everybody, get everybody's attention. Our speaker tonight's from Wisconsin, so we're gonna go ahead and let him get started right after the pledge of allegiance. We'll rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag. To the republic. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight we've got Rick Morris, Broodminder. I'm gonna get Jim to come up here and give a quick introduction about what we got going on, and then we'll let them get started. I don't know how we're gonna tell them to start. So he can hear us. Okay.
Good evening. Sorry, everybody made it through the cold weather. Tonight is, I've known Rich and Morris for quite a long time. The founder of a company called Broodminder. And at the time they had internal hive sensors for temperature, humidity, weight. It's that data to help you manage the hives. Without going into all of the detail, I know Rich has gone way beyond those kinds of sensors now. He's talked about having an in-hive camera to monitor mite levels, help you manage and predict what you should be doing as next in your management. So I'll turn it over to Rich. Rich has told me now that he has a new job manager, she is going to be on the Zoom call tonight, Amanda Stoltz. Rich is going to step into and return back to the R&D portion of the company.
All right, take it away, Rich. Technical assistance.
Rich, can you hear us? Rich.
Okay, he's showing something.
Rich is there. You might be having difficulty. This
Yeah.
is Adam. Yeah, we'll wait for him to show up.
Get started.
There he is. Rich, we can see you. You have the floor.
Ready, go. Are we there? I guess, is it possible to see the crowd or anything?
It won't be a great shot of them, but you can. Don't wave yet.
Saw a message from Chris. Okay,
Now you can wave.
there we go. That's better. Thank you.
Good shot.
It's hard to speak to nothing. It makes me a little anxious. Can you hear me okay? I get a thumbs up or something? Okay, good. Okay, well, thanks for inviting me. I've known Jim for a number of years and respect him as a beekeeper and everything. So happy to talk to everybody. I'm going to do a little different tonight in as much as a group of us gave a presentation at EAS back in August. And John Gott, Theo Hartman, Teresa Martin, Anya McGurk, and I did a 2-hour workshop, and it was really good. And I just have discovered that they are much better at talking about this stuff than I am. So I'd really recommend that as I go through this, they're all very good speakers, and I'm happy to put you in contact with any of them to get their story. But this is sort of a brief part of that. So stripped down, let's see if I can go through. So we will, I'll go through a little bit of an introduction, then some of Teresa's slides about hive temperature monitoring. Anya talked about hive weight. Theo, swarm trapping, was very cool. And then John got about citizen science. Teresa is in Kentucky, Anya's in North Carolina, Theo's in Virginia, and John's in New Jersey, and I'm in Wisconsin. So what we found, we've been doing this for about 10 years. I've been keeping bees for about 18 years. And really going into this, my family is an ag family, and the big question is, are there things we can learn from it? Is hive monitoring useful? Is there some long-term return on investment about this? And over the last 10 years, we've learned a lot. So I'll be sharing some of that. Generally it's called precision agriculture, and there's a lot of words like that that are nice, but it basically amounts to measuring things, looking at what you are measuring, and coming up with conclusions that are going to modify or change the way you maintain your livestock. My brother's a farmer since the 80s. And, his world has been shifted dramatically over that time. And, we really, our team feels that in beekeeping, there is a possibility that, we do find those things. And we have learned certain things along the way, and we will keep exploring that. So hive monitoring is pretty easy. It's putting a data logger in and watching what's going on. You don't need to use our equipment. We think we make the best stuff, but frankly, putting a temperature monitor in of some sort will teach you new things about what you're looking at. I do recommend that you use something that does log hourly data because you get so much more information out of this continuous data. You can put a meat thermometer or something like that in there and see what the temperature is, and that'll tell you something. But really, when it gets interesting is when you see the trends and see that, oh, the temperature is going up or the weight's going down or those sorts of things. So, our goal is not really to sell equipment. It's really to improve colony outcomes. Everyone on our team is a beekeeper, and, we've sort of bonded together because we enjoy this, but we really want to see things change. It still drives us absolutely bananas that, as an industry, we lose 50% of our livestock every year. And so, that is a lot of what motivates us. So, jumping into what Teresa talked about at the workshop, she's been keeping bees about 8 years, keeps around 10 hives, and uses a lot of temperature monitoring since the get-go. I'll recommend her book, Dead Bees Don't Make Honey. You can look at that on Amazon. It's really a nicely written book. She dedicates a whole chapter to what she does with temperature sensing. And in fact, you can get a copy of that chapter on our website because she's allowed us to share that part of her book. So the big deal, and this, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, is the best thing to measure is temperature. It's cheap, it's easy to understand, and the cool thing that bees do is when the queen's in there and when they're raising brood, they are going to thermal regulate the hive to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And while there's brood, it is rock solid. And if they have the population and the heater bees and everything to do that, you'll see that. And when there's not, they don't. So it becomes a really nice indicator, not unlike, taking the temperature of your little kid or anything like that. The way our equipment works is you basically have a temperature sensor that looks sort of like this, and it just goes above the brood nest in the middle of the hive. And when the temperature from the brood raises into that space between the two boxes, then even the single sensor right there in the middle does a good job of capturing that. So what's it look like? It sort of looks like this over a couple of years. And so this is one of Teresa's colonies, and it was a swarm caught in May. And then you can see in this area here, I don't know if my pointer shows up or not, but through the summer, you can see how the temperature stabilizes. The gray bar across this is about 92 degrees to 97 degrees. And we just sort of put that for easy recognition of, what we call the brood zone. So you can see that they're raising through there, and then come fall, queen stops laying, the brood goes away, and they quit thermoregulating. In January, temperatures this year raised up in 2020, and they started raising brood, but then didn't really get going then until March. And so, you look at this and say, okay, well, that's pretty simple. We see that they're raising brood. The queen's in there, and that's what's going on with all that. When you look at a lot of colonies at the same time, it gets sort of confusing here, I realize. But what we're looking at here is from January through March of 2021. And can I pen and laser here, laser pointer. Okay. In this area here, you can see through the winter there, it's really down 70 degrees, and they're keeping the brood nest or the hive warm-ish. Some of the hives have less population, so it's not keeping it as warm. But come around February, they start brooding up, and you can see by March they're all regulating. And sort of the remarkable thing is, all the colonies, these were all configured the same way. So they all start raising brood at about the same time. So there's a lot of things you can see. Queen loss. Let's see here. How do I get this? Okay. You can see over here on the left that this is in July, and they're regulating really well. But then it all sort of falls apart. And what happened was that something's going wrong. When she did an inspection, she found them queenless. Okay, so she did a combine and with another queen right group, and you can see in a few days then they got thermal regulating again. It's really pretty remarkable. And frankly, when I began this for myself 8 years ago, I had no expectation that we would see this. So to start out, I'm in Wisconsin. I just wanted to see that my hives were surviving. That through the winter, did I lose them in the November, December, March timeframe? But then this whole thermal regulation thing was pretty cool. Another thing Teresa looked at was just the impact of Varroa treatments. And it was sort of cool because she did a couple of different types. And you can see when she treated with Formic Pro, they really got sort of disrupted in their brood rearing and then their thermal regulation. Apigard, same thing, not quite as severe. Here's an oxalic acid vaporization. It had almost no impact at all. What's this mean? We don't know. I mean, and we're not going to say a bunch of things that we haven't validated, but we do know that, they noticed it more and that it did disrupt brood rearing somewhat. This is just a longer time, and she's been doing it for 7 years. And you start, looking season over season. It's just interesting and gives you insight into what's going on in the hive. Okay, I'm going to go through this stuff fairly quickly because there was a lot of content. Anya's in Raleigh, North Carolina area, and she got tasked with talking about weight. So weight's another really primary thing that's easy to measure on a hive. And I would say it is not nearly as important to me as temperature, because a lot of what weight is telling you is when the trees are blooming, when the honey flows on. For commercial people, a lot of times they like it because they can tell that as soon as the flow is over, they can harvest the honey. Or that if it goes on longer, they can super up and those sorts of things. But what we've also looked at with the temperature sensor, we see swarming. We see swarming really clearly. There's about a 4-degree temperature rise in the temperature when they swarm. And we sort of knew this and we worked with it, but then we validated that a lot with the scales, because when you can see that the weight changes 6 or 8 or 10 pounds in an hour, you're pretty sure that was a swarm. So let's see here. Get back over here. There we go. So what we find then that's really cool is that we can take this cheap temperature sensor and we can see scale swarms even without scales. And what we do, we watch the temperature every minute. And when we see a certain profile, what happens is, do we have a zoomed in picture on this? Whoops. No, we don't. Okay. Let me just go back here. We see a very characteristic shape where it rises very quickly, about 4 degrees Fahrenheit, and then trails off in about 20 minutes. There's arguments over why this happens. Our theory, which we believe, is that basically the hive loses a lot of bees very quickly, and they lose this thermal mass. And the heater bees that have been maintaining the temperature at 95 all of a sudden overcompensate. That with all of the bees leaving, all of a sudden, they're heating up like they were. Temperature rises quickly, and then they get it back under control within about 20 minutes. But the great part is that that's a very easy to characterize shape. And so we put in our software, in our sensors, that watch for this, and when it happens, then send out a special signal to our hub devices that say, hey, alert the beekeeper because something is going on. We think it's a swarm, but something dramatic has happened. And so you can go out and a lot of times collect the swarm because they're bivouacked pretty closely. But here's a pretty good example that on April 28th here was the primary swarm, and we saw that, and it was verified with a weight scale. But then we see all this other. So we have several after swarms. Then we ultimately have, the 4 after swarms, and you can see them fall out of the brood zone in the temperature also, because they basically swarm. Probably different virgin queens leaving with each of them, and then moved on from there. So here's a little bit zoomed in on it, but you can see that there's just this very quick rise in temperature. One of the other things that we've discovered by looking at this is just that, our hives swarm a lot. And they have failed swarms. They have queen virgin flights. There's all this action that unless you're standing on your back porch, you're going to miss it. So that's pretty entertaining to watch. Here is that requeening process where they went through. And the other thing that we're working on and still working on the user interface for is once you have this information, then you can use bee math, because we know exactly how long it takes for to go from egg to emerged queen. We know approximately how long it takes to, before they go on their virgin flights. And once you start working out the math, there's only certain things that can happen, and they can only happen so fast. So we think there's a lot of promise in that. So here you can see an example of the swarm. You can see the weight here in one day went down, what's that, 36, about 8 pounds. There's the temperature signature. She did an inspection. And then here's another one about, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days later. So the new queen has emerged. The old queen left, We saw that the new queen has emerged, and then she took a bunch of bees with her on her mating flight, and you see that that happened. What the upshot of all this is you can watch and you can keep track of this. And if you're into honey production, then you make sure that the hives don't go queenless for a long time. And this is where Anya has a great talk. And if this is of interest to your club, really she gives a good presentation, goes through a lot of the details on this. And this was an example of her just watching her own situation, and year over year, by paying attention to when the hives went queenless and taking care of and making sure that they were queen right as the honey flow hit and everything. She got a lot more production out of it. The other thing that's sort of cool with scales is you really see a difference between apiaries. And this was one example of hers. These two apiaries are 37 miles apart. So they're roughly in the same area, but you can see through February, March during a honey flow, one of them's just losing weight like mad. So they're all consuming, they're basically in a dearth. Whereas in the other apiary, they're adding 10 or 15 pounds across the week. So scales are fun. You can also just pick up the hive and heft it. So there again, I just think they're nice. You can see things like robbing. Here's a hive that lost a bunch of weight while this hive gained a bunch of weight. So you know who the robbers were and who that. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can see. Scales are more expensive. And it's nice to have maybe one in your apiary. But like I said, in general, what you're seeing is what the trees are doing, what's in bloom. It's nice when you can see this continuous data and see that, oh, look, the red buds have bloomed, and you get a little bit of bump from them. When the black locust in Wisconsin hit, we're putting on 10 pounds a day. And then we share this data on beecounted.org. And we share it with the land grant colleges and everything. Wayne Asilas years ago, he worked for NASA, the environmental lab, and he did a 4-H project with his daughter. And he saw that, the weight gains are extremely correlated with climate change. And it just makes sense because, weight is nectar. Nectar is blooming, blooming is climate. So it gets really interesting when you look year over year. Okay. Now, Teo, we sort of gave a different tact for him. Teo runs about 50 to 75 hives near Richmond, Virginia. And he is part of the broodminder team. Teresa and Anya are not part of the broodminder team, and John. They're independents and just good friends, and we've worked with them a lot. But Teo is part of our team. We call him the people's drone because he basically uses all the stuff intensely that we make. So he's doing quality control. He's telling us what doesn't work, what does work. And he has been using it for the last 8 years very heavily. But one of the things that has been fun for him to do, he sells bees. He's a retired Swiss mechanical engineer, but in his retirement, he's gotten big into beekeeping. They have a farm store and everything. But he puts around 10 traps around Richmond, and then he watches them with the temperature monitor. So, one of the things we know is that, when you have a swarm move in to a swarm trap, you'd like to leave them there about a week. Let them get established, let the queen settle down and all of those sorts of things. But you don't want to leave them in there a month or two because they just go hog wild, and it gets to be something like this where it's just more than you want. So ideally, you're looking for about a week. So we both used our sensors, but we also use these LoRa sensors, and we have information on our website. They're made by Yolink is the company, and you can get them off Amazon for about $50 for the sensor and a hub that you can plug into your Ethernet cable at a friend's house. And so what Teo does is he's put all these traps around Richmond, about 100 miles or so between all of them. And he's put in this sensor, and it has a very long range. So it'll go 1,000, 2,000, maybe more feet. So he can put it out in one of his friends' fields, then put the hub in their house plugged into the Ethernet. They don't, no kind of setup and everything. It's all sort of handled on our side. And then he just waits till he sees something going on. So here you can see in our software, he put where he put his swarm traps, and then they're all just layered here on top of each other. And so you can basically see the outdoor temperature or the sun. But then the cool thing is when bees move in, all of a sudden you're going up 20 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So we can see precisely that on May 2nd at 2 in the afternoon, the swarm moved in. Then it's just a matter of, okay, in about a week, we go and harvest that swarm. It saves a lot of time. It saves, you know, if you try to have your friends keep an eye on the swarm trap and say, hey, you know, does it look like any bees have moved in? And, you know, they just are well-intentioned, but they always especially found out that they're not very accurate on when they actually moved in. So this has been a lot of fun for him. And it's something that you can just use season after season. And he's, I think, trapped on the order of 75 or 100 swarms over the last 3 or 4 years. So that's another fun thing you can do with hive monitoring. He puts them, you know, he has out yards and he'll put a swarm trap there. And so it becomes very easy to see by like this example where the hive lost 7 pounds, 8 pounds, 9 pounds in an hour. And then very shortly later, the swarm trap went up in temperature. And what he has found is that you don't necessarily need to put the swarm trap a long ways away. A lot of his are like this, where, you know, they're just convenient for the bees. This year I had a swarm. I had a hive that I did a split, and the split, even though I took them away for about 4 days, when I moved them back, they moved back to their old hive, but they were super crowded. So I just put a swarm trap beside it. And in about 3 days, you know, they swarmed about 5 feet into the swarm trap. And maybe it does work a little bit better if you put it away, but it also works really well to just be close by. And if you don't trap swarms, you should, because it's fun. Teo also puts a QR code on his traps so that people can aim at it, and it will actually come up. We've got built into our my Broodminder software that you can share. You can hook a link to a graph and to some text, and so it comes up and says, "Hey, this is a swarm trap, and you wonder what's going on. We're trapping bees and saving bees, and you know, whatever message you want." So he's had a lot of fun with that. Then the last thing I'll cover here is John Gott. John is a master beekeeper, well, and so is Teresa, by the way. She's a she is the New York group master beekeeper. John's an EAS master beekeeper in New Jersey. He's passionate about beekeeping and precision agriculture and has been working for 15 or so years as a beekeeper. So John just talked about citizen science. So a lot of us are just curious. Part of the fun to me in learning about beekeeping is, sort of understanding and figuring out what the bees are doing and what's good and what's bad. And as we all like to say, you go into a room and ask, an opinion of beekeepers, and you'll get, more opinions than there are beekeepers there, because everyone has their own particular experience and their own style that works for them, and they want you to know the way we do it. Well, John and us, for that matter, we're trying to put evidence behind that. So there's been a big shift over the last 8 years into regular wooden hives into, what we, I guess, call condensing hives, but the heavily insulated hives. And a lot of that is because people like John and people like Etienne Tardif in the Yukon have been really instrumenting these things and trying to figure out, how are the bees doing and how does it help? And do we need top insulation? Do we need an upper entrance? Do we want a quilt box up there? 10 years ago, everyone was saying, oh, you need a quilt box, you need to, ventilate it at the top. But what we're finding out is that that's not a great idea. It's making the bees work harder to keep things warm. But John wanted to, look and see. So he did a comparison on 4 different situations: top insulation and vent, top insulation, no vent, no top insulation and vent, and no top insulation and no vent. So he did just the classic, okay, we're going to test these 4 different ways, and we're going to measure what the temperature does. And he went and he measured all these. He put transparent tops on it so he could open them up and inspect them well. And it was just important for him to go through, and I'm not going to show all. He also has a very good presentation. I'd recommend you have John over. But he went through and very methodically tested these things. And the difference in testing is we all sort of try things every year, but every year things are different, bees are different. And John just did a really good way of trying to control and try to have very similar hive populations and do it all in 1 year, so that you're testing, apples versus apples, as opposed to, okay, this year we had a warm winter or a cold winter, those. And what John found was basically insulation reduces condensation on the inner cover. Okay, that makes sense. Insulation keeps the inner cover and upper part of the hive warmer. That makes sense. Relative humidity is lower under insulated inner covers, so it's not as extremely high. And a vented inner cover doesn't reduce that condensation. So he had temperature and humidity sensors in the single temperature humidity sensor in his hives. So he found that venting didn't help, but it really let a lot of the internal temperature out. And that when it's going up and down and you have that condensation, then it'll sort of freeze up there, and that's okay. But when the freeze melts, that's when it starts raining on the bees. And we know that's all the end of the situation for bees once that happens. He looked at the hive weights also on these, just to see, insulated versus non-insulated, what sort of stores consumption they were doing. And, just came up with these conclusions that I won't go deep into, but other than to make the point that if you do get into hive monitoring, there can be a number of different reasons you do it. One is, just the hive management. One is, swarm trapping. Another is you have certain things that you want to prove. And we have a number of those people out there who want to prove that, hey, if we maintain the humidity through the season at this, our brood does better, or we can detect this, or we can detect that. So, and once you have that, then you can make these conclusions that and it enables the colony to survive, insulating, but not letting that heat out, because we have evidence behind that. So, and I'll just say that, our broodminder team, actually, we are having a global summit. In about an hour, I'm heading to Chicago to pick up our 3 members from France. And then Teo is coming in tomorrow, and Anya is going to be here, and the rest of us. And we're going to really start planning out the next 2 to 3 years of broodminder. The last thing I'll point out, Amanda, can you turn on your camera? There she is. This is Amanda Stoltz, and she is taking over. I'm backing away a little bit because I'm getting to be a dinosaur. And Amanda has agreed. She's been our primary software engineer for the last 8 years, I believe it is. And so she's taking over as Bee in Charge. And she and Lorenzo are going to be running things in the day-to-day basis. And I'm going to be just relegating to the fun stuff I like doing, which is designing things. So Amanda will be taking over, and we have some great plans. One of the things, I'll stop sharing my screen, that we're working on. Oh, well, maybe I can show one last thing. If I can make this stop. And slideshow. We are working on the mite minder. And this has been an ambitious project that we've been working on for about 5 years. And if I get this going, are you seeing the video?
I'm not, no. Oh, and he's frozen.
Okay, am I still here?
You're
I
back.
get a thumbs. Okay. And am I sharing my screen? No. Okay.
No.
Window, screen 2. No, pick the wrong one every time. Green one. Okay, allow. Okay, so we've been working on a camera that goes inside the brood nest and allows us to look at the bellies and the backs of honeybees, with the goal of being counting bees and counting mites. And it's been super challenging, but we keep getting closer. And we're now to the point where we are doing BTV, and these we took last year in 13 different hives across the country, and one in France. And in all of these pictures, you might not see it, but each one of these has a mite. Let's see if I can stop somewhere here, because, okay. So right here in the middle of the screen, you can see on the belly of this bee, there's the red mite. So our goal is that not this season, but the season after, is to have a approximately $200 device that recognizes the bees and the mites inside the hive, because we don't want to be shipping video. It's just too much data back to the home office for analyzing. But to put all that analysis inside the camera And then that'll allow you to, drop a frame into the brood nest, leave it there for several days, and get your mite count. We, through our marketing research, found that about a third of beekeepers get it. They know that we need to know what our mite counts are because mites are enemy number one. About a third of the people hate doing it, and about a third of beekeepers will not do it, with the explanation being, why would I kill my bees when I'm trying to save my bees? So talking with various people like David Peck, he said, we've got plenty of ways to deal with mites, but we don't have plenty of ways to detect mites. So that's one of the fun things that we're doing. Our group, we're just, we've got we got all kinds of stuff going on. Anyway, it's been great fun, and I encourage anyone to get involved that wants to. And I think that's about all I have to say. I don't know if there's any questions or what goes on now. I'm not hearing any audio, so I'm just in a vacuum.
Can you hear me? Can you hear us in here?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Question, when you were showing the temperature, there was a dashed line about halfway down going across. What data was that pulling? Not too far from it. Could you hear the question?
Okay, I'm not sure. I can't hear anyone talking.
No. But everybody else on
Can you
online?
can you hear me, Rich? I can hear the group.
You can hear?
Yeah.
Okay, my audio is not working, which is a
Amanda,
shame.
would you pass him the question?
But if you have any questions, maybe Amanda can answer them.
So on the when you were showing the temperature for the swarm, you had another line below that, a dashed line. What
Oh,
data?
that was the outdoor temperature.
Okay.
New options. Yeah.
Any other questions for the group?
Let's see here. Okay, well, I'll just here.
Amanda, we got to know where you.
I'll just say thank you. And if you have any questions, you can ask Amanda. Otherwise, sorry, things almost worked, as it does all the time. So, okay, take care. I'll leave now. Bye.
I guess I'll stay for a second. Was there anything else?
Is there a website?
Do you have a website where we can get information and find the products?
Yeah, if you go on broodminder.com. That has our website and some other information, some blogs and videos from there.
And please thank Rich for us. That was a fantastic presentation. We loved his shirt as well. But if you could thank him for his time, we really do appreciate
I
that.
will. Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate the interest.
Thank you. Thank you. We got a Black Friday sale. That could be your.
Then probably say if you want to shut it down, we'll keep it live for now. They can hear what's going on for the rest of the meeting.
Is that the device we have down there here? Pardon? Your microphone have that?
Yes. Yes, and remember, we had Anya here last year, maybe the year before, and told us
was a very good talk. Try it again. Okay, do we have any new members here tonight that would like to get up and speak? Probably just introduce yourself. I don't see any faces. Okay. As you see, our bank balance is $11,186. That's live, so it goes up and down just a little bit. We'll start off with elections or approval for next year's officers. We had basically just one person for each office. So no point handing out ballots. Unless somebody wants to stand up now and throw their hat in the ring, I'm happy with that. That will be president. Okay. All right, now, for president, myself, with no opposition. Show of hands.
You got my vote, Rick.
Vice president, we got Daniel Blackburn. Again, no opposition. All right. We do have a new position or a new person taking over secretary treasurer is Joe Francisco. Show of hands. Joe has also agreed to be an assistant apiary manager. Those that haven't met Lou Coronado is going to be our new apiary manager. So Joe and Paul will be helping him very soon. Okay, and incoming board member, which is a 3-year position taken over for Nathan, is Vincent Sheehan. Show of hands. Right. Hannah was approved by the board. She is going to be taking over Jim's position as program director. She's also going to head up our B school this year. So if you're still interested in helping out, don't know what positions are available just yet, or still available. But see me, I will make sure she gets your information so that you can figure it out, whether it's manning the food table, helping in the front, just, I think she's got most of the speakers covered. Another position is kind of more of an appointed position, but anyway, Terry Mainguy, she did an outstanding job this past year, handling mentorship program. She has an opportunity for her and her husband to do some traveling, and I don't begrudge them doing that one bit. So she has asked to step down from handling the mentorship program. Because she has done so much legwork already, she's laid out a process on how to do it. Basically, we just need somebody that will coordinate and put the mentors and the mentees together. You know, keep a list of who's going to be a mentor, keep a list of who needs a mentor, and match them up. I would like, but it doesn't have to be, somebody that's kind of gone through this mentorship program and still fairly new, so that they have fresh ideas. She jumped on it about a year after May mentored her. But again, whatever someone's willing to do. So think about it. If we've got anybody here, anybody that's online that might want to do it, that position is going to be coming open. She did say she will help whoever it is. She'll give you the information she's got. She'll tell you kind of her outline of what she was doing. Coming up soon, very soon, is our holiday party. Next meeting, actually. It will be starting at 6 o'clock. Normally everything starts at 6:30 at 7. So there will be a sign-up genius going out, asking, are you coming? So we'll know how much food to have. And then, are you willing to bring a dessert or an appetizer? Normally, we always have desserts, and we have way more desserts than we do people eat them. So this time we thought maybe we would split it up, and get some appetizers in the front end, that way while folks are kind of hanging out talking, they got also snack on. The date? Yeah. Yeah, the 15th. Which may pose a problem for some folks. We still have a few of the 4-ounce love jars that club honey that we're selling. They're $10 a piece. The club's bee school again is getting started up. The signs were put up today at the waste sites. I know at least one had it because I saw it when I stopped by. We have 10 left. So if some of you know of a place you would like to put one, a good location where we've seen, we got them. All we ask is again, bring it back. Printed on both sides. Self-healing plastics that will last. We also have some cards available with the same thing. If you want to put 1 or 2 of these in your wallet, hang it up on the bulletin board at work. Someplace you go eat a lot, put it in the cash register. I only have 3 of these laminated signs. Because you put these on your vehicle or someplace it might get wet. Just take it off before you get to the car wash. There's some experience. And then I have some just regular paper copies. If you would like to take one, put it on the bulletin board at work or someplace that allows that. We were at Bentonville this past weekend. Strictly, we weren't selling things. But they were going to the gift shop buying it. They sell our honey at the gift shop. A lot of interest, a lot of folks love talking about bees. John brought out an observation hive. Kids loved it. Told them if they could find the queen, they could get a handful of bees to take home. Nobody took me up on it. Most of the parents were against it. We also went live Saturday with the sign up for the bee school. And I had a text from Adam that said, we had our first person sign up Saturday. Whether they came from Bentonville or they were just very anxious to become a beekeeper. We've already started. Membership renewal will be coming out soon for 2026. The board meeting the other night, we decided to keep everything price-wise exactly where it has been for the last few years. So be on the lookout for that. Sign up as soon as you think about it. So I don't have to chase you down and say, hey, we're going to take you off the roster. Next will be our farm report and / master gardener report. A few meetings back, we had someone ask about master gardeners maybe coming in and telling us what pollinating plants are growing. Steph has been working with the master gardener folks to try to come up with, if nothing else, a list that we can put with the newsletter so that each month you kind of have an idea of what's going on. It's still being worked on, but we heard you and we're trying to move forward.
Hopefully I'll at least start working on that a little bit more in depth, probably around January. I have, like I said, I've been in contact with them. I've gotten some resources for them to put together. I just have to find the time to put it together, and this isn't a conducive time of year for that. But anyway, moving into the farm report, as you may have noticed, the fields are starting to look kind of empty. We're really getting close to finishing up the year. They started taking names, and that's usually kind of the signal the year's coming to a close, going out planting winter wheat, and taking the last few sweet potato beds. Most all the cold crops have been planted. That's your broccoli, your cabbage, grass, anything like that. And just a reminder that if anybody is interested in our annual fruit and nut tree sale, we sell everything from pecans, apples, pears, peaches, muscadines, blackberries, blueberries, and figs. I think I got all of them there. is anybody in here interested in getting a form who hasn't already? All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll bring 6 up. And you can pay with cash or check, or we can send you an invoice, but make sure you have those turned in to us by next Wednesday. There is also an online form you can go in and order through, that's fairly new this year. And it's the same principle where you can either, mail a check in, bring a check to us, or we can send you an invoice. There was another thing I was going to mention. Oh, last day for soil samples. If any of you want to send a soil sample off this year for free, you need to bring it to us by Friday. As of Thanksgiving, the samples go from $0 to $4 up until April 1st of next year as they enter peak season. So if you have a need to get a soil sample sent in to us, or you're planning to buy a fruit tree, make sure you do your soil sample and bring those to us by Friday of this week. And that's you.
One thing I failed to note on our agenda, and some of you may have noticed on the email that went out, there was a section that you scroll down and you could take Beekeepers Corner. Well, when you clicked on it, it was empty. If you clicked on it, problem has been, there's been a lot of work done, and not a lot of people are reading. So, to save a few trees and to save some work, John has graciously, at least for the near future, agreed to give us that in person. So, John, I'm going to let you do Beekeeper's Corner.
Okay, it's gonna be short and sweet. You need to know where your mite levels are. If you don't, a warm day, you need to find out. If you have high mite levels, you need to be treated with oxalic acid. We've got long type vaporizer and we have an instant vape. You can check out and treat your bees. Please use PPE, especially with the instant vape. You need at least a half face respirator, which comes, we've got a full face that comes with it, but you need to wear the respirator. The next thing you need to do is make sure your bees have enough food to get through the winter. And it should be 30, 40 pounds worth of food in there, either in the brood box or in the super. Queen excluders need to be off so that the bees can move up. If they're going to move up to the highest part of the hive, that's the warmest part. And you probably need to put some sort of sugar or fondant board on. I use French fry trays. I use about 4 of them, put them over the brood area, getting condensation falls into the sugar in the trays. They use it to make sugar water. They will eat through the bottom of the French fry trays to get the sugar. And because it's warm there, they may be able to get the sugar where they can't get the honey. It's real cold. So just a way to do it. Other way, one of our members years ago told me is on the inner cover, just put sugar up there. They can have access to it. Just make sure your bees have adequate food. And it's going to be a real problem about March. That's typically when they run out of food. Especially the Italians, they brood up fairly early. You need to periodically go around the cat pod. If it's light, you gotta get some food on it. We've got scales you can check out here if you want to. That's gonna weigh half the hive weight. But you need to get an idea where your hives are at. You know, this isn't real accurate, but when you do that, it comes up real easy, that problem. Anybody else got anything? Got comments?
Chairman, question, I should know the answer because it's important, but I just don't know it. During the winter, right now I don't have any brood in my house. No, I did light checks before, it was okay and stuff. It's the same scenario as if you have a swarm. You have a new queen, all of a sudden there's no brood in there. That's typically good for mite control. What happens to mites in the winter? You have mites in the winter.
Yeah, they're on the beach.
What are they eating?
Beach.
Are they actually parasitic?
No, they've got no way to reproduce. And that's why oxalic acid is so effective now.
Yeah,
There is no brood, and it will treat all the froic mites, or the majority of them. Whereas if you got cat brood, you've got to do something like folic acid, or you have to use one of the Apithar, and cold weather's not a good time to use these vaporizing type things. If you go, I don't know who was here a few years ago, but when Anna McGurk gave that brood minder presentation where she showed the brood levels based on temperature, starting about the 1st of November, they just plummeted. And sometime around Christmas, they started back up. And that's when the days get longer. So now's your time to get your mites under control if you have. Hopefully, it's not too late. You don't have a lot of viruses and disease. When they're out of cluster, I mean, you don't want to breed them in cluster. So that's going to be temperature dependent. So that's what you need to look at. I'm going to say in the high 40s. Would that be fair, Rob?
Yeah, I would start flying them out because you would get all the bees covered as you can, but when they start loosening clusters.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to always, if they're brooding, they're going to be clustered around that brood at all times, but majority.
Early mornings, 42 to 50. Yeah.
Or you can do it late afternoon too, when it starts to cool down.
People still have brood in their
I got Russians, so they're nothing there. 30 months. Yeah, two things about an IPM board. You can do a mic check in the winter when it's cold. And number two, you can pull that IPM board out and look up in there, look at your cluster. Or stick your phone up there and take a picture. So you can get an idea of what's going on. Thermal camera is also handy to look at things. If you have access to one of them. I don't think it's time effective, but your temperature's got to be warmer, you're open to hot, there's brood in there, it needs to be around 50 or warmer with the wind, sun. You know, depending on the temperature of the dribble, negative, the bees where. I think that's more of a springtime, summer type thing.
That probably a good question for Chris Hagwood. He does the.
I'm trying to think of the girl's name at NC State. Jennifer Keller uses it all the time. She's very much in favor of the dribble because it's simple and it doesn't take any work.
That's what it's all going to do low for dribble.
Yeah.
One dribble because it's partial of the bees.
Well, depending on the solution, 5 cc per strip.
But it's still partial of the bees.
And it can harm these wings.
But you don't do multiple steps.
I probably would ask.
Any other? Any other questions? Comments?
Question about the French fries, trays,
The 4 trays will hold about 3 pounds, put a little water on there, make it hard, and then they'll come up over the top initially, but eventually to the bottom.
And then that helps with condensation.
Yeah, because it falls into the sugar. Where do you get it? Whitney wholesale.
Is the right way to max moving on them or?
No, they're just paper. They're paper. You'll find them out front when they get done with them.
Oh, a shield come field, clear pipe. You can also use pile wrappers. What, sir? Pile wrappers.
Paper plates work.
Yeah.
And you've also got the mountain count method, don't forget that. Mountain count's all
Right on the inside of the inner cover. Other questions? Okay, so everybody's been to Dayford, seen our back savers down there, right? Where you put the highs on so you don't have to bend over. That's a portable back saver. But I sold it for $100.
With the chair.
With the chair. No box, I'm keeping the box, that's for my truck.
Okay, I don't know if anybody, well, everybody should have gotten the email today. I believe it went out today. There's gonna be a open house this weekend, 9 to 11, here at the Acre. So everybody that can come on out. What you looking for? Just to see which ones need food, which ones are.
Looking for a number of things, actually, if you read the sign-up sheet, it's got a list of things that we're looking for. We want to do a thorough inspection and make sure we have enough food for them to last the winter. See what kind of conditions that the hive is. You can tell pretty easily whether it's doing well or needs more help. We want to run a couple of bite checks. So if we need to do a little bit of paper, we need that as well. And generally, just in general, the appearance of these. I do have a sheet that we can check off different things that we can check. I'd appreciate any help because we've got a lot of hives. We only got a couple hours to do it.
Do you have anything to add as outgoing Acre Administrator?
No, not really, other than I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us on the open house. And thank you, Lou, and his team's gonna take over and pull some of that burden. It's not really not a burden, but don't take that the wrong way. But I still work a pretty hefty 60 to 80 hour a week job. And the apiary manager position and some of those things really took a big toll on it. So I'm able to get back to work and do my thing at work like I'm supposed to, not get caught up behind. But these guys stepping up, I really appreciate that. And everybody that's participated in those guys, I thank y'all for that too. I'll be here next Saturday. Love for y'all to come out, hang out with us. I think we still got a little bit of ice cream left in the freezer. And then it's your turn, Lou. We'll come eat your ice cream.
That is, I got to find that. No problem.
That was John's fault to start.
We can handle that.
Absolutely.
Why is it my fault? Everybody is protected in the ice cream. I've heard no complaints about it.
I ain't complaining about it. I like it.
All right, well,
You come rock.
I want to thank everybody for coming.
For those of you who go into the fruit and nut pre-sale, they're on the back. There's also a thing with a QR code if you're interested in doing the online version. You are going to request an invoice to pay by credit card. All I ask is that you write your email address very clearly, and if you're not capable of that, ask a friend.
And the other thing that we're gonna ask is, if you will, tell them we can get the tables and chairs up.
We just need to clear the floor.
One more thing. I got the square set up back there. There's, how many jars of honey there?
7.
7. Y'all be gracious, let's get them off the table. I do have square set up, and take your money.
Good Christmas gift now.
Thank y'all for coming.
All right, y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah.